We will now call our Mrs. School Board work session to order, our special meeting. Today is February 5th, 2024, and the first item on our agenda is the adoption of the agenda. Are there any changes or amendments to the agenda? In that case, I can rule that it's adopted as presented. We'll move on to our first order of business, which is our out-of-state trip.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I'd like to thank Megan first because she was kind enough to remind me that I needed to come to the board for an out-of-state trip, so she emailed me. So she was able to get me on the agenda for tonight, so I have to thank Megan for that. So I have state BPA. If you remember last year, we decided to start competing with Idaho BPA instead of Oregon FBLA. So our state BPA trip is next week, February 12th through the 14th in Boise. I have 17 students going to state BPA in Boise, so we'll be there Monday through Wednesday. Mr. Hawkins has agreed to be our second driver, so he's actually gonna be there for our awards Wednesday morning, so we're actually excited for that. So, yeah, just seeking
How many
approval
kids
to
did you take last year?
to state last year we took 14, I think, last year. So, no, it's Monday through Wednesday. So competition is Monday, Tuesday. Awards are Wednesday morning at 9, and then we come home after awards. We should be heading home around 11 Wednesday morning.
And my kids are gonna say, drive slow so we don't have to go to school.
Right.
Oh, we're stopping getting lunch, don't worry.
Right, Mallory?
Don't worry, yeah.
Am I right, Mallory?
Oh, sure.
Well, I think this is really exciting.
No, we'll let you know how we do. So,
So all you need to approve.
what? Yeah.
Do we need to vote on it?
I'll make a motion up. That would be everything.
I second.
Motion's been made by Jeremy and seconded by Susie to approve the out-of-state Idaho.
Yes.
The BPA, all those in favor signify by raising your hand. Motion carries unanimously.
Have fun.
Okay, thank
Tell
you.
them to come back and tell us how they
And
did.
when.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, have a good evening.
I hope I see you
Thank you.
before that this one.
You will. Over your
Okay.
Okay, next item on our agenda, maintenance updates.
So Jesse's handing out two projects we've been looking at this year. Actually, coming up, we'd like to start the projects this summer. But there's two different projects in here. The first one is elementary, and I'm going to let Jesse take over and talk a little bit about the bids, the why around this, and why it's necessary for not only our community, but our kiddos. So anyway, Jesse, I will hand it over to you, bud. Do it.
Well, the first one that we're going to talk about is the HVAC replacement of the elementary building. In the last summer, we just finished completing the high school, and working like they're supposed to. The HVAC system down at the elementary was put in 1997, so they've reached their lifespan. The refrigerant that's used in those units no longer can't replace that refrigerant. So what you got here are the three, to just kind of give you a summary of what we got here on the front page. So we got the three contractors, YMC, that's the contractors that did the high school. Second one, Stan's Heating, they're still working on theirs. I gotta give them a couple more, some more information so that they can complete theirs. And then RM Mechanical is the third one that actually did the middle school HVAC system. And then the second one, you can kind of see where the ballpark figure is. I mean, the third one came in
Way high.
way high. So I did talk to an engineer. It doesn't have to be engineered because we are replacing like with like. The quotes are in here from YMC and RM. There is one from Stan's that gave us a quote to replace one of the units. There's 43 units, so that one unit, you know, multiplied by 43 that are down, it will kind of give you an idea of what it'll be, you know, just a little over 500,000.
And if you guys remember this August when school started, we had several classrooms without AC in it, and Jesse was doing a great job. I mean, we had every fan in there, the portable air conditioning, and it's only the condition of them will only be worse. And so this is one of those things like it's a have to. But like you said, the great part about it is no structural, just outside units, kind of like look like what we have in our house, obviously a little bigger, just replacing that. But this is one of those things like, especially for those kiddos, especially our 5th grade teachers. Remember the spring 5th grade, gross and nasty. And so, but this is one of those have to for our classrooms.
Will they be able to do it in the time that the summer school's over and school starts, or?
They could actually do it while school is in session if we really needed it to.
I mean, I just want to make sure it's done by the time.
Yeah, there's a time frame to do it with 30 days. If all the material that we, you know, once we get our hands on everything and get it on campus, it should not take it very long, and they could actually do it while school is in session.
So if we decide on a company and they can order this stuff, so it will be here.
Right, and before we decide, I'll wait till we get Stan's actual quote. Next board meeting, we can actually make the decision on who to go with.
How much do we have in our repairs? For the budget for the repairs,
Are you talking our Fund 440 or our general fund maintenance repairs?
the general,
I think our balance for that, we have a little over 129,000.
and then 440,
Our 440, our balance is $888,305.74.
and that's probably what
Both these projects, looking at that account. So
Is Stan's local?
Yeah, they're out of Ontario.
I would prefer to get local business.
Agreed.
And then that way if there's a problem, they're local to come and fix it.
we know where they live.
I can tell you that YMC and RM are great to work with, and I could give them a call and they never ignore a phone call.
Are they both out of Boise? So we shouldn't have to pay taxes to get the one in Ontario.
You wouldn't be able to pay taxes,
Yeah.
wouldn't they, however, no taxes.
Because I was gonna say tax on those, that material would be a lot.
Have we ever had any work done by Stan's?
Yes, we have small projects. Matter of fact, Stan's will be out here Wednesday to repair a unit at the elementary.
So I know, so you said all these units were done in,
7.
When the building was.
When the building was put up.
When I was in 3rd grade,
Yeah, I was gonna say, Chelsea and you were in 3rd grade when we moved into that building.
so is there a reason, I mean, I know there's reasons to do them all at once, but have we had them kind of do an assessment? Are there some of these units that they say they might last for 5 or 10 more years?
They need to be replaced. You get a contractor, an engineer, he'll come in and just say, you should just, if you're gonna do it, you should do it all at once. If you do it all at once, you actually get a bigger savings than just down.
Alright.
Is it heating and cooling or just cooling?
Yeah, it's both heating and cooling. There will be some electrical work that will need to be done that isn't included in these quotes, but I don't see it being a huge dollar amount.
Ordering in the other replacements for the high school, it seemed like it took a while, like parts were coming and coming and coming, or units were. Do you know which of these could just have it all here and work on it? Like, who can get to it sooner?
These are not RTUs, which are available.
What's on our TV?
The big units that we put at the high school, these are more like your household, ones that you would actually put in your home, that are more readily available. But again, the sooner that we can get the approval and get the order, the quicker they can order it, get everything on hand.
And we won't have to do any roof work or,
No,
Because they go outside.
no, they're just gonna disconnect. They'll efficient, but not much, because the unit that they may install may be a little bigger, but, no roof work.
And the electrical work is,
Minor, it's gonna be minor, because
Just
we're gonna put
basic.
the units exactly where they set. And there might be then a wire that we may need to run a little longer, but very small amount.
So this is gonna push over half of what we have in the accounts for repairs. Do we have any other big repairs that you foresee coming up that we need to think about while we're looking at spending half of the budgeted money?
Sure.
Well, I just mean, like, do we have something else that's, it's like, oh, we're on the edge here, we might have to spend $300,000 in a month on something else.
Yeah. Not necessarily, no, we have a big project coming at us at the middle school. We need to put a sidewalk for the pedestrians that are walking through there. That road is very narrow, but we can do that in phases. We don't have to actually get it all out, do it all in one shot. We could do the sidewalk work first, electrical work, and then maybe next year we do the parking lot, the asphalt. So, not anything this big. So I get to the bleachers.
I know we talked about 444, is that something that, how much do we put in there every year, and does that build? Has that been building, or is that just?
So this
do we-
budget year, we transferred 1.7 million, but that was to cover the overage that, for the high school that the grant wouldn't cover.
Right.
So that's all been spent. There was no transfer other than that budgeted for this year. However, with building the 25 budget with Ryan, we will be putting something in. I can't tell you that number yet because it's not done, but I think his goal and my goal and probably all of our goals is to build that fund.
I mean, it's something we gotta do.
Yeah, we just, staying on the HVAC system, we just spent quite a bit of dollars in the auditorium. I don't know if you've ever noticed going into the boiler, it's ice cold when you go into a basketball game. We were finally able to get two of them repaired, so it's a little warm now.
Well, I know those teachers whose classrooms didn't have air conditioning in the fall. It's pretty dang hot for those kiddos at,
And
in
it is.
August.
You put the portable AC in the kids.
But you know, I taught in the old building and we never had air conditioning, so.
Yeah.
It can be done.
Dennis Savage brought in a fan about this big and all the kids' papers would.
Well, that was back when everybody had their own little chalkboard too.
Yeah.
I was probably in school.
I was gonna say, were you in my class? Remember?
That was a new building.
You were in my class.
I was in Stroke House.
Played tape or something.
Just for a moment.
So I guess we just need to wait till Stan gives us a quote.
So we need to vote on it when we get the quotes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Who do you decide to go with?
Next.
And the second one,
Second one is second one is the bleachers, replacing the bleachers at the high school gym. You know, we go through three contractors. I believe our policy requires anything over 50,000 gets, we need to receive three. And so on the bleachers, you can see the contractors that we have there. Norpac. So that Norpac, the first contractor, we actually have a set of bleachers. Those wooden bleachers are Hussey product, which is what Norpac notice if anybody ever wanted to go tap on the plastic to see the quality of the product.
What about the ones in the gym now, the blue ones in there?
That's from Vitech Specialties. So 1 through 3 is how I labeled them from best to worst, in my opinion.
Wouldn't we want them to match the ones at that,
Yeah,
the plastic ones?
we would, and in the very back page, that would actually be our blue bleachers. Again, that probably should be put in blue in color. But that's, when those bleachers are set aside, when you walk in, you'll be able to see that end and that pulled out on that bleacher. And they will match the color of the bleachers that we currently have in there now.
So it would just be on the 3 sides.
The 3 sides, yes.
And I looked at the why for this. It's not because Jesse and Ryan spend a bunch of money. There are a myriad of issues with our current bleachers, from creating structural issues to the floor, the manpower it takes to pull them in and push them back every time. His whole crew's down there every morning to do that. I mean, so we look at those hours. They're not ADA compliant as well. There is a, yeah. No handrails, as we talked about, and so all of these things that we need to address. And we brought this up back in 19, and we were in a different place funding-wise, and I think especially with the funding sources we have set up, this is the perfect time to address this issue, and it is an issue. Somebody did, I think, fall last weekend or something like that. An older gentleman. It's something that our community needs. So.
Will they, because I know the bleachers we have now, my grandkids always lose their toys.
All one.
Okay.
That's all one set. It'll be motorized. It's got a motor, so you can push a motor button, and you have a bleacher set up within 10 minutes, one person 10 minutes. Because the rails will adjust themselves, the handrails.
On the rotate rails, so that's nice.
I don't know if you noticed, there are 10 row bleachers. We'll have the ability to just pull out 8 rows on the side where the basketball teams are. I don't know if you noticed, we're trying to coach, and we get fans crossing right in front of the coaches and the players. So the idea is just to pull out 8, give the players their seats, coaches, so the fans go behind the players and don't ever have to go in front.
So are they the same size that we don't have?
There'll be 10 rows, but we'll have the ability to just pull out as many as we need to. There's different options that we can do as well with these bleachers. For example, wheelchair accessible, we can have it so that we set that up for anybody that needs them. We never lose that seating. There's an option where they're permanent, but when they're permanent and we don't need them, we do lose some seating. And when you have somebody that's in a wheelchair, you don't make them feel good for somebody on staff to go get them and say, we have these seats especially for you.
I think I see a wheelchair person in every game, a different person.
Yeah, it takes us four staff members. We set them up before we go home, and usually that means interrupting a class. PE still has their classes in there, so we interrupt their classes, just to put the bleachers away. So it takes us about an hour, 4 people, an hour every time we do it. This year has been pretty tough on our floor. Twice, we've actually had people spill stuff on the bleachers and it goes through. And when we set the bleachers aside, that moisture gets into that wood and that wood starts to warp, and then just, with these here, the person on staff can put those away in 10 minutes. And if there's a spill, they can address that immediately. But one person cannot put those bleachers away. So the staff member that I have that stays for the games would not be able to lift up the railing by herself. It's just too much, too heavy.
And then you'll see in this one, on the quote, the removal is, we have a company coming in and doing all the removal so we don't have to pay for any removal.
Well, no, it's not necessarily Mr. Hawkins, actually, we will have to be the ones to remove them because that company no longer wants them. We have to remove them. They can remove them,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you said you think Wolfpack's better?
So they're not gonna remove them, you guys have to remove them,
We
that'll
have
be a
to-
lot of
They
work.
can remove them, but if you could see on the quote, it would cost us 15,000.
So do they want them after we remove them? I thought they wanted the
They
wood or
did.
something.
Yeah, they did.
Back in 19, now they don't. I said, well, what are we gonna use them for? And I said, well, maybe a community member would like to put their floors.
So can we try and sell it, or the wood, or, it'd be a lot of
Sure.
work though to take up all that metal, the wood.
I'm pretty good at demo.
We'll just make the person who buys it take care of it.
Yeah, we can add it, so we're
Well,
gonna add that.
I'd like to say that, Megan, but this actually has to work, and we have to work together because they're gonna come, it's gonna take them 5 to 7 working days, and the time frame that they're gonna do it is actually gonna fall when volleyball begins to practice. So I've already visited with the AD and got him in the loop and say, practice times for you is gonna be minimal, you're gonna have the back court, and it's gonna affect, so we can't say you're responsible for getting them out.
Cause you
We
can't
wanna
start
be-
till after graduation.
Right, this won't even be started until August,
Why so late?
because these are special order items, so I'd actually have to get them ordered soon. Once we go with the company that we're gonna go with.
Oh, I like that bulldog, that looks nice.
It has 50 more seats too.
But the Wolfpack has 50 more seats.
So the bleachers that we have in the high school now, the plastic is not durable, it's easy to put a hole in. The
The
product
ones
we
that I
have,
said,
the product that we have over at the middle school, it's a thicker product, it's a sturdier product.
And the Norpack's at the middle school.
Yeah, the Hussey is at the middle school. Yeah.
and they're the ones that do this
Yeah,
bulldog.
Norpack.
That's the company that do
So
that.
from top to bottom, Norpack would be first, the product, the Intercal bleachers would be second, and then the Vitech would be third. Just depends on where North Intercal bleachers coming out. This is another project that we really need to get completed this year.
Well, how long is it gonna take you guys to take them down? I mean, it's gonna take a lot of work.
It will, probably, I'd say 3 days,
Well, that's all.
3 to 4 days. And I'm sure if you get Mr. Hawkins down there, some muscle down there,
Yeah, we got the torch out.
some board members down
Yeah.
there.
I'll bet you get people to help.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you gotta do something with a bunch of take.
Yeah.
Can't just take them to the dump.
You could recycle the metal. The wood we could stack up.
Somebody,
They use it in
Yeah.
a shop or something.
I think we could probably put the wood outside and somebody could take it. Or sell it, we could
Megan
get
wants
something
it.
for it.
I bet you can get something.
how much would you want?
You want it all?
A double house.
It works when it gets wet.
Fine,
Yeah,
and it's good wood.
yeah.
Well, it's lasted for how many years?
It'll fix up on Southbourne in the winter.
A lot.
So you want to burn that?
No, you don't burn it?
Oh, it's probably got varnish or something.
And how much to finish?
Just don't breathe in.
Yeah.
So do we have to approve this now, or is this,
Maybe not the company that we go with, but the approval of the bleacher replacement.
I think we do that next board meeting, actually next week, if we can. If you guys feel like you have enough information on it, then, we can bring up that proposal
will this come out of this year's budget or 25?
this year's.
So do they have a union agreement that's gonna cost a bunch extra?
You really shouldn't worry until you receive the
Exclusions,
contract.
right, they're labor
It's not
no
gonna be
agreements.
So it would be
No, they
25, wouldn't it?
So it'll be fiscal year 25, but
Yeah.
if we're paying with our 440 fund, remember, our balance just rolls,
Right.
and then if we are adding money, so.
of it has to be positive.
Yeah.
And if there's any additional information on either one of the projects, feel free to contact me and I'll provide you with that information.
Jesse, do you think you'll have stands?
So the bleacher project would become an action item
Yes.
on our next regular meeting. But the,
I believe both of them will. I should have both numbers to you.
okay, so both of them action items at our meeting in a week.
Yes.
Do we have any other questions?
And you said the middle school has a what now? Which one?
The first one.
Okay.
Those are not.
We can demonstrate, just hooking up that cord and pushing that button, just watching all the roads. I think it takes 15 seconds before they're all set. These ones would take a little longer because they're much bigger. Still. Might get a cramp on your thumb, I think,
We did it in cramp in your back?
or a smashed finger with the
And
roundings.
while we're on the bleacher, subject, what about the elementary school? Theirs are fine as well.
They're fine, they actually got lucky 5 years ago and purchased a set of mobile bleachers from a church somewhere in Boise, 6 or 7 years ago maybe.
Do these come with warranties on them?
Yes. The first one provides the best warranty, 5-year mechanical and 10-year undercarriage.
Any other questions on that?
I think we really need them.
We do.
The guy said they still want.
We need them.
He just texted me. He said he still wants bleachers.
Who?
The guy who was gonna uninstall, he still wants them. Yeah.
Who does?
Yeah.
Who is the guy?
So it's Scott Reed's brother-in-law. So I talked to him and he said, oh no, he still wants them. Yeah.
This is the contractor here?
No.
Oh,
Yeah.
this is
The one who were taking them last time.
And he'll take them down?
Yep. Take them all down for free.
That'll save us,
In a timely manner.
Yeah. Because he has to bring a crew down with him, because he's from Portland, and so he need to be quick and get them all down, because he's gonna be playing.
And removal won't cause any damage to our floor, correct?
They're gonna sign a liability on that,
Okay.
anything damaged or, and,
So I was
insurance and
worried
all
about
that.
that floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yay. Nothing else you're looking to.
Thanks for all your work.
Good work, sir.
You can have them for 10 grand.
I should.
I just want to be able to walk up the bleachers.
Well, nowadays, everyone gets sued for anything, so having it be AD compliant would be
Yes,
great.
we need to have
Well,
them.
just, I don't know about you, but walking up those bleachers with,
Well, our mom can't even sit with us, because she can't get up to the bleachers room to sit.
yeah,
Well,
Only sat in their spot.
just like church, you have to sit in the same spot, right? If someone's in your spot, you're like, move it.
Sat in that spot forever.
Oh, yeah. Probably the bleachers were put up this way.
Sit in the same spot every
I
day.
know, I see just like
It's hard to climb up there because
You have to send me his contact info so we can coordinate.
Yeah, we can talk to him.
When he needs to get them out. Because we really don't want to take
and when
anything
Chelsea
apart
was there, I
until
would
we
sit
have
for
everything
4 hours
in.
watching games.
Well, it'll be
My
the
butt's
summer,
tired
so
after an hour.
I mean, at least ours aren't
Get
like
it
unit
next year,
homes where
In August.
it's
You know whose are the
Because if
worst?
something happens and we can't get the product or something
On
from
Prairie
the
City,
factory.
John Day, Grant
Election
Hughes.
day.
Remember when
And then all of a sudden,
Nebraska was
we
sitting
have
there
no
with her
feature.
feet hanging down and just coloring, which was about 3, she slipped through there. They had to stop the game and have them in, pull the bleachers apart because she was stuck in there.
oh, you're kidding.
Her head got
Good bit.
stuck.
And then we actually receive a discount by keeping.
Because there's, and everything just falls because they're open.
It's good.
Perfect, okay.
And then these projects also, we have to post them online or to the state, Crystal, and it has to be 180 days before we can actually do anything.
Let's get it
We have to get that process.
I have the form ready to go.
posted now, so we can.
We gotta approve it.
Think so.
I mean, I think it's probably approved, it just didn't go with the job that we go with. I'm hoping Stan's can come in and be able to do it. We'll see.
Just tell them, say, hey, we're voting on it next week, we need to quote.
He's working on it. He's waiting on me actually for a couple of documents. Anybody else has any questions? Think of any, just let me know.
All I know is if you've never smelled a whole classroom full of fifth grade boys after recess in August, you need an air conditioner.
I've smelled the football bus,
I
trust me.
was one of those fifth grade boys. Something about
Okay, so if we have any questions, we'll contact you.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming.
Jesse.
Thanks. Take a piece of pizza on your way out.
Yes. Okay, we will move on then to item C, district committees, the wellness.
The wellness committee, and so if you guys remember the policy that we were looking at November, it talked about establishing a wellness committee, which we do not have. And so this information here is more about the committee, all of the things involved with it. OSBN, I gotta take my hat to Gina Friel. I asked her to kind of head this committee, and so she dived right in and, read everything on it. It's, as you saw, if you guys remember the policy on it, it was huge. And so before we even start looking at the policy and stuff, we need to get a wellness committee together and have them start going through the policy, because in that policy there's things on kind of our physical education department, cafeteria, classroom instruction, and so one of the first things, and you'll see this in here, one of the first things that they're going to do is actually look at that policy and help write that policy with not only increase their understanding of what a wellness committee is and what is required of the district. So it's kind of two birds, one stone. So this is just information for you guys on the wellness committee and all the things we're going through to get that established. And so what we are looking at is in 24, 25, in August, we'll have our first meeting of the wellness committee. They're going to meet at least quarterly and report back to the board with that. And so it is more than just nutrition. Like I said, it is classroom instruction, it is PE, it is all of those things. Yes, Megan?
Is it appointed, or is it?
We're gonna have, yeah, so what there are very specific things we need, like a PE teacher, a classroom teacher, somebody from food nutrition, somebody from the district, and so what we're going to do, along with parents and community members, like our equity committee, we're gonna put it out there and say, hey, if anybody is interested in this, here's the things that we need, and if we don't fill the required ones, we'll be voluntold. No,
I was just curious, because
yeah.
there's several parts that one person could be multiple people.
Yes, and that's going to be, and we might have to do that. But if we don't need to, we'd like to open that up to a lot of people. I know there are several parents that have talked to me about just kind of the wellness thing and say, hey, we want to let's talk about food nutrition. Let's get a better understanding for parents, and which is only one aspect of the whole wellness committee. And so I think we'll have a lot of people that are wanting to go in and just kind of learn about what that means and help drive it for NISA. So.
Do we have a minimum number?
There's not a minimum number, but all of these things, like I said, like the PE teacher, those things, there's specific ones we have to do. So if we get like a parent and a teacher, we can check 2 boxes off on that one, and so there's not an actual minimum, but you have to meet those requirements of that. So, and I would say Gina is one of the ones that's required to be on there, and we're actually going to start looking at it as well, because they'll need looking at, is there a curriculum that they need to get to help the elementary school or the high school. So there's a lot of things, and health, I think. Next year it's either health or social science. Maybe social science is next year, but we're going to be adopting a health curriculum soon, which the committee should help look into that, and so it'll start rolling. Good question, thank you.
Gina sounded apprehensive, but really enthused about doing this.
That is the best way to, she was very apprehensive, I mean, but.
She was just nervous about how much was going into it.
Well,
Yes.
this is a lot of work.
This is a lot, and as you can see, she knocked it out of the park. And her and I met, and she was, like I said, very apprehensive, but when we sat down, you could tell she just, she was on it. It was pretty cool to see.
So this has a lot of USDA, and was it USDA mandated? or-
Yeah, and so that's just kind of getting that information from our food nutrition kind of in there, right? Here are a lot of USDA things in here, which kind of rolls into that. And you notice there's gonna be a lot of things on ODE side that they're gonna have to look at to roll into that. Are we in compliance of these things? And so you'll see all those. I remember the Division 22, like, PE hours, or how many times minutes for recess. That's things they're gonna be looking into as well.
Well, so is the program a mandated program?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, I guess we have to do it then.
I know.
Why? Well, everybody's busy enough, and this just looks like it's gonna put a whole lot more on
Busy.
PE teachers' plates, on nutritionist plates, on
So, Freddie will probably have to be on it or something.
social workers' plates.
Gina for sure, right, because she can kind of do that. But no, I would agree with you. Another committee on another committee we're having, but I do think that if we kind of minimize that down to quarterly meetings and have a report for the board as well to let them know maybe once or twice a year. Like I said, how many committees do we have? Mr. Grodding and I were looking, and there should be an academic committee that's together. You know, and there are so many committees out there. I was like, can we just have one committee that rules them all? But no, this is a requirement, and we're going to try not to take too much time. But I think this is going to get maybe some members that we don't access to get involved a little bit. So that's my hope.
Well, and once this is together, it will be nice, because do you remember when Gina came and there was a question about the meals that we served in the cafeteria, and Gina came and explained why, you had to have so many grams of this and so much of this in each meal. And these are the kinds of things that we never think about, but that our nutritionalists think about. So anyway, I'm excited about this. I'll be interested in seeing how many people we get.
And if a board member would like to be on that committee as well, that would be interested in having a voice on it. So,
If I can do like more hats in that committee.
that's what I'm saying.
You would be great.
I'll volunteer when you're-
Yeah, okay, then.
I think that's volunteer.
Whichever.
It's a gray area. I don't really even know.
You're like, as long as it's not me, right?
Right.
Perfect. Anything else on the wellness committee? Again, this is just information for you guys to see how much is kind of going into it, and we're establishing it, and then when we see that survey come out pretty soon, that you'll know where it's coming from. So yeah. So and again, the policy that we're going to update, that will be on next year when that committee looks at it. Just so you know, like those are the two policies: the paid leave and this and wellness, and so the wellness will be on for next year. Next one, the Educational Equity Advisory Committee. And you guys have it as, I think, a third reading of it. I wanted to give one final opportunity for any sort of comment. Mrs. Mornock and I talked, and she had some things on there that we wanted to look at, like what is the minimum, I had my notes here.
Okay, I did have another thing.
Yeah, oh, good. So I have a couple things, like what is the minimum, maximum, and then, how much of each school, who reports to, and do they report to the board quarterly, or is it in study sessions, and the purpose of those, and those are kind of the big three things. And anything else you have, Mrs. Moraka?
Well, I know that you utilized other schools.
Yes.
On
Yep.
page 2/5, you've got in here, parent or guardian of BSD student.
I saw that.
Yep,
Thank
that
you.
needed to be changed to NSD.
And 2/5.
It's like this.
Oh, okay, I see.
Oh.
I got you.
I mean, it's just a minor.
That's major, actually. There it is, parent or guardian.
She's Ryan, spell check.
Yeah, thank you.
I noticed on the second,
Was there
and
On your
the second page, there's a space before parents.
purpose to them?
Okay, you caught that too, Bill.
Huh?
You caught that too.
Yeah.
What?
Hang on, I'll get it.
Here, you can have mine.
Was that the only other one? Oh,
Well, I know we need a list of some of the different categories that we wanted people from. Are we gonna try and make sure we get somebody from each of those categories, how we can do that?
yes. I'm gonna try to do what's right after as much as possible with many people. So,
Have a physically handicapped, or mentally handicapped, or.
so when I present to the group, to the school board, because I'm going to give you guys my recommendation for the committee. And then you guys are gonna accept that, but you'll have a breakdown of all the various perspectives that we're addressing with this committee. So, but yeah, I'm bringing it to you.
And about, how soon do you think you'll be able to, when, we're going to send out this
Yep.
for applications for our committee in March?
Yeah, so this is kind of the final one today. If you guys have any other feedback on it, like I don't add this, like I said, there's a couple things that each school, minimum, maximum, and then kind of go a little further into the purpose part. And then how often do they report? But other than that, then I'm gonna get that out so we can start getting applications and talking to people. And if you guys know somebody who'd be really good on that committee, please talk to them. I know Maribel and I've talked about some committee.
Position
yep.
within.
Maribel and I have talked about some members that would be really good to have on a committee like that. And so please talk to them and say, fill this out. So, nice, good. Yep. That's it. Thank you.
Anything else on our equity advisory committee? Okay. Then we'll move on to item D, the job description.
Final rating of the DEI, not the DIE. The diversity, equity, and inclusion specialist, and like we said, having to be or wanting to be a certified position, but also I'm going to add in some wording up there, and actually I had it pulled up on my computer. You'll see this at the top of the so the language at the top of that, because it is a certificated position now instead of just classified, because of what we're asking them to do, to look at classroom practices, curriculum things, teach some things, is the Nissa School District is looking for equity-minded applicants who demonstrate a sensitivity to and appreciation for the complexity of the world. We draw our strength as community variety backgrounds, abilities, culture, experiences, and identities. All interested individuals are encouraged to apply even if they do not meet every one of the preferred qualifications listed. So what we're trying to say is, for the right person, we're going to help train and do that. We don't want possibly having their teaching degree or those things to limit our pool. Those obviously are preferred, and they're when we go through the screening process, we will look at that, but we don't want to limit kind of the possibility of having somebody really, really good apply for it. So.
And this will be an annual, we will evaluate because we don't have the right person.
Yep. We will be reevaluating this in July for the next year, and so it will be a yearly thing. The position will be. Yep.
Under qualifications, you have on this paper, it says a bachelor's degree is required,
What number is that?
which just the third?
Yeah,
Is that specific to a particular type of bachelor's degree, or is that just in general?
we're trying to get a teaching degree on it, but knowing it's not gonna limit, and then so I don't wanna kinda limit, you need to, there's not a lot of certificated teachers just hanging out there with no job.
Yeah, it just didn't specifically
So-
say education, so I just was curious if you wanted to say bachelor's degree in education or similar field.
And then with the bachelor's degree, it's easier for us to kinda get licensed for it. And
Cause
so-
I could just see us having somebody that's like, I have a degree in accounting, or, you know.
Yeah, but it
Hey, if they're
also
the right
says-
person, that's fine.
It also says with 3 years of successful experience working with students.
Yeah,
Are we gonna advertise this like, not just locally, like
everywhere. Yep.
So
nationally?
then national.
Yep.
Is,
We have
And they'll be on the teacher's pay scale?
Yes, they will be on the teacher pay scale.
With the supervisor being.
Myself, yep. And we talked about how this person is gonna be closely tied to not only, the admin, myself, but also the school board. And helping us look at our practices and policies and the equity committee being a part of that and looking at it. And so, we're really looking at this person to help from the IA, from the kid all the way up to you guys at the top. And so it's, so they will be directly supervised by me.
Sounds like a miracle worker.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Any other questions, comments?
Excellent, thank you. And I'll stop talking.
Okay, then we'll move on to our policies. The KL public complaint policy.
So,
Maybe-
yes, if you guys remember, there were some things about a KL complaint procedure that Jolly brought up, but also Megan was looking at as well in the AR stuff, and then, so she's been diving into it. Do you wanna talk to the board about the proposed ideas for our KL?
So that second sheet, this is what Jolly recommended that we add to policy KLAR1. I've added it under the board, step 3 in that red. It's just more clarification on employment-related complaints and how the board will handle that. Before that though, if you look on the form on the back side, there's asterisks by employee and administrator and supervisor, and it says that a form is not, you don't have to fill out a form to have a complaint go to either one of those, but it doesn't have an asterisk by the superintendent, board chair, board vice chair. So I just added on step 2 in red, form required. That way we have this when it gets to you guys and the superintendent, there is this form that is required. On the form I just added as well, in the policy it says, if you are a parent or student of or someone living within the district, I just added address on there in case, there was someone outside of the district that wanted to file a complaint. That way we knew and we could stop that, or handle it appropriately, I guess is the right. And then I just added, in red on the form, more clarification, what steps have you taken to resolve the issue, include the names of any people you have talked to. That way we know that they've gone through the proper channels, and we know what's already been done, so we don't have to do, it just helps in the investigation part. So, and then after reviewing, we have KL, which talks about public complaint. Then we have KLAR, which is another form that I think in passing it should have been deleted a long time ago because we have the form in KLAR1. It's a little different, but I think it's not necessary, and it just gets confusing when always add those into consent agenda, so it's just one quick motion if you guys decide that you are good with what's presented.
Sounds like you're
I'm
gonna
good
do
at this.
it.
I wish somebody would have done that a long time ago.
Okay, are there any other questions about, or comments about the payoff? Megan, thank you, you've done a lot of work on that.
We appreciate it.
Very much. We'll go on to the family leave policy.
Yeah, so the family leave policy that's presented here, you'll see all the reds, which the ones we strike out on those, the add to, on page 6, it says when the period of which we start counting that leave, beginning on Sunday, meaning following that family leave. That's the first add-in, strike out those reds, add in, the next one is the order of which they can take the leave. So they have the ability to, and that's on 11, so right now, if it's saying say if Dustin wanted to access that leave, we say, okay, you have to take your sick first, you have to do this, but actually he has the right to say, no, I want to take my vacation first, and then I want to take sick, and then I want to take personal, or whatever it is, and so, just the employee, they may elect to use whatever leave they want, so.
And that is written in the MOU.
Yeah, and with the classified, it's in the classified MOU that they can do that, so it mirrors that.
That's a new change.
Yeah.
Just that on page 6, 11:6. But page 6 is actually, I think we are held to that, I don't think we have a choice. Christie provided some documentation from, is it Principal?
So really, this is just aligning what's already in their contract.
On 11?
It aligns with state
On
law, and then their contract aligns with the state law. Does that make sense? And then so, yeah.
Well, and it comes down to contract supersedes policy, correct?
No, policy supersedes contract. So policy can trump everything in the contract.
If the policy was written before the contract.
Yeah. So, yeah, you can't go in and say, okay, now we're gonna make policy making whatever we agreed to, right? And then so, yeah.
We can't change our policy now, though, and then change the contract unless next time we negotiate.
Attorneys volunteered in some negotiations.
I don't know about that. I think I had to do the last time.
No. This is the body.
Okay, so will we have, these
You might
on?
Yeah, on Monday.
On Monday.
Yeah.
You might have been crossed out.
So any other questions or anything about policies? Okay, then we will move on to the new year. This is a new year. Let me find my notes here. I had a couple of things that I would like to see us be able to do this year, in the next few months. And Megan was gracious enough to give us what our board priorities, board priorities that we had selected previously, which are still good priorities, I think. And then the goals. Were these your goals or these?
So they were the goals at least at the beginning of the year. So the priorities on those, and then I took those priorities and broke them down to tangible kind of,
Tangible goals.
yeah.
Okay.
And I think the reason it says June 2021 is that's when you guys adopted those priorities,
Yes.
and so just add
Yep.
it.
So, not only do we need sort of a report per se, but I'm going to throw out to you guys some suggested school board goals that I've been thinking about, things that I think we need to get done. We need to set an administrative or establish an administrative salary scale. We need to put in place or be able to see our chain of command, because when you're gone, who's in charge if we have a potential snow day or something? This is something we need to. And I keep thinking about snow, but you know, we could have a flood day. So, the third item is equitability for exempt employees. So that we know that our exempt employees know that they are being treated fairly and equitably, since they don't have a union. So this is something the board needs to be thinking about and working on. One of the things that is a little more pressing is our superintendent search. We need to prep for those interview questions. And then I had another one. Diversity, equity, and inclusion practices for the board. I talked to Ryan and Crystal, and we do have funding. We have enough funding if we would like to do that. Because I would like to be able to say to our patrons that the board is taking it upon itself to learn Spanish, to speak Spanish. And Maribel's going to be our tutor.
And the computer guy, what's his name?
Adam?
Adam can put it on our phones or on our, because I can't.
So, you know, but we do have that funding. One of the other things is I would like to have a lot of our agenda translated into Spanish. In particular, the part about, you know, being able to speak during public comment, because we have it in English there, but we need to be open to all our patrons. And I think we should be happy that we only have to put it into 2 languages, because if I ask you to put it in Japanese, we'd all be up to work. So, the other thing is, during our regular meeting, I would like to at least have some translation for our non-English speaking patrons, especially those parents who have kids who are getting special awards. And I've said I would talk to Matt about doing the translation to get us started. I have not gotten around to that, but I talked to him today. I totally forgot about it.
Don't they have translating headsets?
Yeah.
And we're working on something electronic.
Yeah,
But I
so
think,
we're
yeah,
working on that, but we
in the
don't.
meantime, we'll,
So, and that's another thing, is working on our electronic.
Because it seems like every time a child gets an award, the parents are sitting there not speaking English and not understanding. Last year, didn't they read it in English and Spanish most of the time?
They did a lot of times, well, Matt did.
Depending on who the parents were.
Or the, Mr. Jackman, I think is
yeah,
the
Mr. Jackman.
bilingual.
So, but, you know, that's a nice touch. Some people may think, oh, it takes too long, but it doesn't. You know, it's important to our patrons that they be able to hear and understand. I mean, something's nice about one of my kids, I'd like to know it.
And I watched them recording on their cell phone, but then even the recording isn't in their native language, so why not have them record that moment in what they can understand?
It is important. And then the 6th thing that I have down is the LGBTQ population. And we need to move past tell you, I was once an anthropology major, and if you look back at every civilization, there have always been people who have been gay or lesbian. I can't say they, tried to do a transition because 200 years ago it would have been a little impossible. But, there have been, there's been this, and we need to be a little more aware of it and in tune with it. And, I believe that this is a place where we need to begin. So I've listed these 6 different things. I would hope that you have other things that you think our board needs to be a little more aware of and move forward on, and share those.
While we're on that topic, did the dressing rooms, or what is it, the locker rooms get updated? Oh, not yet.
Gonna wait until we have to.
I think that's part of the conversation this morning. It's like, we need to be proactive in saying, how do we support all of our students and not be in a place where all of a sudden, like, we're forced to, or we have to. It's like, what is best for Minnesota? What is our understanding? And so we don't have things, thrown out there. So I being proactive and controlling that, rather than being made to do things, I think is important. And saying, what does that mean? And so, anyway, so we do want to do something like that, but it's going to be something that we do together. 1 or 2 people just making the decision for community, I don't think it's a smart idea. And just saying, I'm going to go in there and say, no, we're going to just tear it all down. We're going to, it's like, that's not right. So.
This is a little bit long range, but we really do need to be aware and to be more caring, because we care about all our students.
And that's okay as long as we remember that we're caring about all of our students, and that we're not catering to a 1%.
Correct.
And taking the rights away from the 99% for that 1%. And I think that's where this is where we're gonna have to be careful, is I'm all about treating people the way that I want to be treated, but I expect the same in return. I expect respect for my beliefs and my rights as well.
Yes, and that's why I'm bringing it out to our board, because we have a very good board. We're able to talk to each other. And this is where it needs to start. We need to be able to talk to each other so we can know, I don't want to say the word formulate, but so we can look and find a path for us to move forward. And I say us, I don't mean just me or, just Jeremy. I mean, it needs to be 7 of us moving forward.
And that's what I appreciate, is saying that I'm willing to do it as long as we get to talk about all of the perspectives. And,
Yes.
But, right now I look at this as our choice, right? Is we get to move that. We get to ask those questions and say, well, what about this person or this? What I don't want to see is that if we get into some situations where now we're mandated to do things and we don't get to talk about, what about the other kids? What about the 99%? And we lose that because we decide to ignore it. And so this gives us an ability to start coming together and having conversations and looking at everybody. And so, anyway, that's my take. I mean, it's your goal, but I just think it's something that we need to start looking at. We can't just keep kicking the can down the road, hoping everybody's safe. So.
Well, and you mentioned today during our conversation about the difference between diversity and unity, that they're kind of one and the same, but we need to think of ourselves as being a unified group group of diverse people who are unified. So, and I realize it's a very sensitive subject, but I realize that we also need, as Ryan said, we need to be proactive before something is forced on us. So, as I said, if anyone has any ideas of other things we need to be thinking of, and, you know, in order to move ourselves forward, please share. Please. Okay, so at that point, is there anything else anyone wants to add to that? Or would you like to take a brief recess before we recess into executive session for the interim superintendent's evaluation? Or should we just go right into it?
I'm good to go.
Good,
Let's go.
Okay, then we are going to recess into executive session.